offended by it. And thanks very much everyone for coming in, and I feel like this is my family. You're my family, you know, you're the ones that you're my sounding board usually for most of the poems in here, so probably you'll know some of these poems. The one I'm going to start with is called Leap, and there is an epigraph by Homer Simpson. In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics. Let's say a cat leaps, and I follow, lifting my feet the way my sister taught me into the big bang of first love. I am soaring, then land, soft as a cat on a red brick ledge among African violets, his hands on a pair of newly found planets, then a mouth cruising skin, hatching a nipple, so blushingly unexpected, I burn for decades. As Nick said, I spent some time in Paris, and I didn't quite know where to locate this collection because I didn't feel quite ready to do my Irish collection. I've got so much competition. So I thought I'd go somewhere neutral and set this collection in Paris. But of course, it weaves out from there, so it's just the centre. Anyway, that's where the collection starts. So this is called Souvenir. To let fingers trail railings, abseil padlocks on the Pont des Arts. To see girls splayed on a river bench, their vintage dresses, hand on a thigh, tongues slipping in and out over gloss. To stretch bare arms from wall to wall across the Rue de Chat qui pêche. To eat a crêpe de sucre de citron, count the bells ding-dong, ding-dong. To hear gunfire heels along the cobblestones of Rue Mouffetard is to feel the strings of the city pulling me back to relocate, recollect. One of the benefits of being an erratic sleeper is that you get lots of REM time, and that means a lot of vivid dreams. So this one here is called Night's Three Faces. Cats compose the dark, wrapped in the weight of night devilment. They chew on the tail of a key of flames, fire sister, mutable skies. There is violence too in the camber of voices around the weight of indiscretions. Cars reverse like a tongue, a snake cloud, so much to hide. Every night the kingdom comes. The lyric river is calling as if the word fog were full of groping shadows. Rain in the dark, harmonic. Birds gather oil, sticky and slow. One flicks up a clot that clips a man cycling past us as we sit cocooned in a hot car on the pier. How long can a drowning cat struggle in a Hessian sack? But this is just a long night in a room. Trees bucking, throwing their limbs to the sky, full of the lungs of a 2-year-old girl hoisted onto her father's shoulders, seeing the world from that towering height. From here, forests can foretell their own forced breath, filled with the sting of a chainsaw. I've spent so many hours streaking past the screaming silence packed below me. I can go. You don't have to clap after everyone. You've been very kind. Whoops. No, I don't think so. Oh, I don't know.
I'm happy with
I suppose I'll let this one be my rising poem, as that's the theme for the evening. It's called On Receiving a Letter from a Soldier After His Death, and it's in memory of N.B. Every window shows a body moving. A man pours from a jug. Dead plants on a balcony above water rushing into trees. A woman hastens in the half-light to a capsized child beneath a swing. Leaves blink, milk green as a corpse. Like the city, I am pressed again, beneath the sky's broad palm, its crushing weight. This one's called Or Perhaps. 1. A woman sits before a picture window. On the table in front of her, the crimson petal and the white. She stares out across the garden. A cradled cat rubs insistently against her wrist. Eventually, the wrist twitches. She narrows her eyes at the grass's sharp blades pointing. Her phone shudders to the floor. A faint movement of her mouth. 2. A man whose head is shaved, pacing. He manipulates his hands one after the other, lays a 2-palmed cap across his skull, holding still the bony, sensitive exterior. His eyes dissect the driveway. Hanging in his mouth, a pair of names, lips uncertain which to choose. The grasses wave their swords, as though challenging the wind to blow them over. Or perhaps they are listening for a name. Actually, it's great because I'm realising I've got another reading tomorrow, so you're my barometer for what I'll read there. This one's called Hunters. They parkour on the wall between 2 streets. The moon appears, picks out their silhouettes. A short, sharp stink arouses all nearby. The neighbours close their shutters, shrug and frown, the night when Paris rings with yelping cats. And some are black, some tigerishly striped. They're wailing, walling in or walling out. Oh, just another urban mating game. For other hunters, it's an act of skill requiring stealth and silence and no moon. They move in darkness while others sleep, each claw extended, eye vigilant. If I could put a notion in his head, he might track me, drag me to his bed. Okay, well, that was that.
Should we throw money at you?
This one's called Some Things Are Hard to Shake Off. These days, only the Polish fill a church on Good Friday. The music is sublime, so I slip in to the memory of habitual coughing, watch children tripping up the aisle with pressed palms, fresh, as innocence, while the old remain in pews, heads bent, praying for buried friends. And I find myself saying the words again, dipping my fingers in holy water, shaking them at something behind me. And if I can count up every house I've lived in, you know, even if I've only lived there for a few months, I can count over 40. So it's quite hard for me to sort of identify a place to call home. So anyway, this one is called Blink. They stream past me like phantom birds, all the houses. The first African one, a hammerkop, all messy crest. Another, a paradise flycatcher. The third, a heron. Sometimes they brush the edge of wild bush or a silvery river, warming their tails in the sun till the vanishing. One for each year of a migratory childhood. Long corridors, tall steps, cold rooms, glass roofs. Across a hemisphere, some standing on lawns bright as sugar, dressed up like mannequins, temporary playthings before another recrossing. Tucked at the end of a long cul-de-sac, one comes close to what you'd call home, close enough to look into the glossy pellet of a sun-struck eye, see the malachite amber blur. But it slips through my fingers, and once again I am left with nothing but a flickering. Okay, make what you will of this one. It's called Sonnet in B Major. Sway, everybody. Even the horse that shies, the child on paper drawing, green easy until flummoxed. Do magic, like feral creatures turning quick to a language, cold air awakening. Coins are still legitimate, but not quiet anymore. A wet black semi-quaver opening up the frantic eye of an arbitrary Icarus. Oh, these bells. But I digress. If we must die ingloriously, let's first rise up like snakes from the monumental pit. We don't get back for a second year. Speed's got a nerve, a no-time strident bunch of followers. All these criminal acts. Move the iceberg or lose the Titanic. Everything. Flying bits of paper. I should have just resorted stuck to the pages. This one?
Yeah.
Yes. This one is dedicated to the passengers who went down with the Malaysian plane, flight MH370. And there's an epigraph by Auden. And a crack in the teacup opens in the lane to the land of the dead. Expressions stare inwards. Some faces press against ovals of pains as the aeroplane hastens into radar silence. Under that blanket, a boy is counting time on his fingers. A girl sleeps against her mother's unmoving shoulder, while she soars away, thoughts exploding. Some frantically ask questions. 239 passengers, texting those precious 3 words. A man takes the hand of a stranger beside him, holds on to loneliness. Touch will keep him feeling alive until the last moment. She doesn't pray, but thinks of drinking rum with those fishermen in Kuching, the music, everybody laughing. I've been obliged. Okay, and this one is dedicated to all refugees. It's called I is not always me, and an epigraph, Arthur Rimbaud, Je ai un autre. I take 4 trains each way through bleary light, hide from the city noise inside my head, where there's only silence or the memory of her cello. My blood has grown thick. My body moves more slowly. That first day, some racist in a drive-by aimed an egg. It hit my back. He chased the car, caught up at the lights, and threw a punch. The stairwell to our bedsit reeks with piss. Hall is crammed with bicycles. Once I cycled to the river, sat all day and stared. Pebbles, floating foliage, strange fish. He roared at me when I returned, thought he'd have to have it dredged. Holds me when I wail at night. I miss my mother. He tells me to pretend she's dead. They come from everywhere, the others. Syria, Peru, Fiji, Senegal. Today, we look at colours. Our teacher gestures to the window, but of course the sky is rarely blue. I'm an immigrant, she says, like you. And this, she points to the screen, a southern ocean. This is blue. She tells us about blue movies, how blue's also an emotion. In Advanced, we talk about erosion, cliffs giving way, landing in the sea. I think of how a foreign language percolates your own until its idioms even permeate your dreams. That's not just acquisition, but erosion too. It's only when I follow the slow river and the first real sun of summer kisses fire to its skin that I remember. Apparently in the Middle Ages, just about the time that glass was discovered as a material, people started getting the notion that they were made of glass. So there were all sorts, in psychiatric asylums all over the place, people were claiming that they were made of glass. So it was a bit of an epidemic. So this is and it's something I suppose poets and writers and artists can relate to. The glass delusion. When I was a boy, I told my mother about strange things that I dreamt. Translucent wings leaping from my shoulders. The sun, a liquid furnace in my mouth. Glass trees erupting from my feet. She said, "You're an artist." What fire bellowed into me with that pronouncement. Like hot houses growing beyond the neighbours' walls, they started to appear. Crystal snakes, goblets, colossal rainbow globes. Then one day at the entrance steps, I crashed into my new neighbour, who picked me up, offered me some quince. In her room, she mocked my fumbling virginity. I'm convinced there was some sorcery, because here I am in front of every mirror, locked in. All this new matter, risk of tripping, falling, breaking into smithereens. Last night, I dreamt I was sitting as you are now, step-like in that armchair by the fire. The terror of that dream. How can I bend my knees? I must paint like this, encased in iron ribs for protection, my arm extended in a brace, then lowered by this pulley when I need to sleep. All day and night, my heart, a bird of glass, thuds its frantic wings against my chest. Even more unendurable are eyes that gaze so freely at my every wheeling thought. Such shadowless transparency. Or perhaps, though you see right through me, like that glass, I remain invisible. Well, you know, this is called Ghost of the Fisher Cat, and the urban myth. I'm not too sure I want to tell you about the urban myth. This is part of the story. You'd have to buy the book if you want to find out the story. Okay, but this is called A Matter of Persistence, and there's an epigraph. I like epigraphs, by Jane Hirschfield. Out of such persistence arose turtles, rivers, mitochondria, figs. Did you think that's brilliant? Love it. Bleary aftermath of rain, the endless pressing feet. Two lads lean against a wall. The alley smokes with river mist. From behind this sudden curtain, a ghost cat dreams of returning to the city. The living squall piss along the granite. There's no denying it. She no longer dances on the pavement, emits no heat or scent. But she persists for days and decades, until this evening's new constellation, Lynx, or a certain slant of streetlight, lifts her gaze, and it begins. A ripple right across her painted coat. Just an illusion, scoffs the taller one to his staring friend. Then, right in front of him, the mural disappears. Next thing, he sees a frisson becoming solid in the street. A bristling, vivid, green-eyed density with every double take. His disbelief is stalled when she caterwauls, tail a victory flag. Okay, in my last collection, which is kind of African, I suppose, in one review, Thomas McCarthy, who's a poet in Cork, he mentioned my lack of. He said it was. What did he say? I remained discreet about rain. so this one's for him. It's called Holocene. Wolf rain dragging down the mountain, or kinetic beating up the alley wall, or bad friend electrocuting streets, or slipping like cat fur from your shoulders, or slant subversive against a torso, or rain that addresses you with violence, spear thrown from Zulu skies, or a glacial rebound, copper threaded, or thick like vertebrae, or sliding like licorice down the throat, or composed like wine, full-bodied, or body-bagged, ready for a requiem. Two more, in case you're wondering. Am I right this time? You're not overdoing it. Okay. Okay, this one is for my daughter. She lives in Zimbabwe, and that's hard. So this is called Whoosh from Michaela. Dust blurs the image. I brush my thumb across the frame. You hold a rod. You're half my height. With every passing year, you grow more mysterious, my love. Hot air balloons float across my journal. A dedication. Thank you for being the best mum in the known universe. The baskets hang above a quilt of snowy cumulus. I imagine standing in the front one, hear the hiss. Blustering all around me, 7 massive onions. To think a hemisphere away, you're in the thick of a different season's day. Soon, this chilly black will become more ashen, sharpen objects. Before light and reason reach, I let myself be whooshed across 2 continents to your garden. Quick. Intrepid birds will soon be landing on the wires and twittering, but first let me land this mighty striped balloon. A kiss. This poem, I suppose, came as a bit of a gift. And it's the quickest poem I've written, and it's also my favourite in this collection. It's called A River of Familiars. I have a cat that sharpens her scent on men. I netted her from the river, called her mother. Perhaps there's a cat flap in the sky, because sometimes my mother's a golden owl. I have a memory cat that in a past life knew the taste of golden whiskey. My cat has a curiosity about the whiskey-crazy wish for public nudity. I have a crazy city cat with a lightning dart across her lazy eye. And my lightning cat has an earring, just the one, mother of pearl, call it intuition. And 7 secret positions, the last a chanting lotus. I have a cat that doesn't exist. I have a penchant for jumping trains, inhaling with each knock. I have a sister cat who inhales too. I have a lover who becomes a lion under the glassy moon, and the cat exhales her wail like an accordion. One cat is a grand, glass-lidded, gleaming ivory, the light not yet put out. Firstborn I am of a cat who cycles lightly inside his mansion full of stories, war and music. My cat and I wear 20 masks when singing out in rain, take it like a wafer on the tongue. I have a cat that purrs in black and white or foggy smoke rings, belly up. As a foggy curtain rises, a missing cat rings around the time inside a clock. Thank you very much.